Hello, my name is Mark Titterington and welcome to another edition of the Forum for the Future of Agriculture's Food Systems podcast. Earlier this year at our annual conference, my colleague Alex Turk had the opportunity to interview some of our fantastic speakers. So sit back and enjoy some of the interesting insights and takeaways that we were able to take from this year's annual conference. Alex, over to you.
Well, Professor Dr. Harald Grethe, thank you very much for joining us. You've just spoken at the forum today. You are the director of independent think tank Agora,
yes.
And you've been in existence for 3 years now. And I know that you foster an open source approach to your work. So the diversity of views that you look at as a think tank, does that build strength? Does that align with resilience theory? How important is your approach to thinking in this area?
Yes, indeed. We work science-based. That's important. So facts matter, evidence matters. And the second thing is we talk to stakeholders involved, because in order to make policy proposals, it's not enough that they are scientifically sound, but there need to be a sufficient number of stakeholders being behind it. And very often it's also simply important to understand their views on certain policy proposals. Otherwise it cannot be a good proposal if we don't understand what it does to people. So typically we have long periods of discussing with stakeholders before we then formulate policy proposals which are sound scientifically, which find stakeholder support, and then it goes to the policy process.
And we talk about resilience when we talk about agriculture meeting the environment and the conversation we have at the forum, but of course resilience is important in terms of, exactly as you've said, the way in which voices are heard and received and the way in which the balance of views and science is expressed.
Yes, indeed. And we would say we want to strengthen the sector in contributing to the societally agreed targets we have. We have environmental targets, we have climate targets, and then we have the reality of the farming sector. And it's important to not just impose these targets through regulatory law on the sector, but to create economic opportunities. So to make it attractive for farmers to contribute to biodiversity, to mitigating climate change. And of course, that's also something in our view which makes them then more resilient to this environment with changing demands, societal demands, but then also a factually changing environment in terms of changing precipitation, heat level, and so on.
Yes, and implementing the transition and what will make the difference. I mean, that was the theme of the panel. What was your main message to the forum?
Yeah. The main message centered around this: create economic opportunities for farmers from contributing to sustainability, and for that keep a strong budget of the Common Agricultural Policy. But go the last mile now, finish unfinished business, because we still have income support. And income support is not a good story. The whole story of farmers being needy and therefore needing our support, that's a category from social policy. It's much better to focus policy on rewarding farmers for the things we want as society and they provide to us. So that's remunerating public services, remunerating services to biodiversity, climate change mitigation, and so on. And I would even not call that subsidies, while that are technically subsidies. It's payments from the state to economic actors. But I would rather compare it to my own job. I'm a professor. I receive a salary that's fully funded through taxpayers. It's public money. But I don't get that money because I'm so needy. We, as a society, we decided that we want to have research and we want to have academic education. And I'm rewarded with a salary. Well, if we want as a society to have animal welfare, to have biodiversity, to have climate change mitigation, and this requires services from farmers, we simply pay them for what is not paid in private markets.
And do you see this as a lever, a policy lever, a mindset shift that will move agriculture being less part of the problem, being a greenhouse gas emitter, to being part of the solution?
Exactly. That's the whole. Indeed, another thing. I find a good framing to say, why do you, if you go to the butcher and you don't find bread, you can talk about the problem, but you're simply in the wrong shop. So if you expect from farmers that they do many things for which they have no incentives and for which they are not paid, that's just an unfair thing. And then saying you're part of the problem, it's much better indeed, because farming has so much to contribute. About half of EU land area is agriculture. So in all these sustainability dimensions, the potential contributions of agriculture are large, and we need this story of we need to make it a fair deal. Farmers need to be able to earn a fair income from their sustainability contributions.
And did you hear that message reflected and resonated back with the panelists that you shared the forum with? So you had Australian farmers, the spokesperson from the Polish Federation, as well as scientists and scholars. So thinking about then the way in which what resonated with you and struck a chord, what would you say?
Yes, I would say in our panel, yes. I would also see that for many panelists today, but of course we are a bubble here also, and it's important to get this message across. We are politically not yet there. We have a revival of the term of neediness, and we focus the money on those who are most in need, stressing the fact that farmers on average have a lower income than the rest of society, which is not supported sufficiently by the data. So it's important to also get this message into the applied policy making.
And with the vision paper, for example, Harald, then, how much does that move the dial? How is that helpful in advancing this conversation?
Yeah. Indeed, I think in that regard, the vision paper, it's a typical political paper which has many things in to serve many different interests. And there are many things in the vision paper which are good, and you can build on that. But I think the vision paper fails to bring income and sustainability, competitiveness and sustainability together. Because it is a little bit, if you read it, as if you would have two things: payment for public goods, payments for environmental goods, and then payments to support income. I would rather tell the story, have payments for public goods and have them at a level that you can earn income. You earn well from providing biodiversity. You earn well if you produce animal welfare. You earn well if you bind carbon, if you reduce emissions. I think that's a much better story. These two objectives need to be unified. Income does not come as a transfer because somebody is needy, except in social policy, but income must come through services delivered. And food is sold in the private market, and public goods can be sold with mechanisms such as the second pillar of the Common Agricultural Policy or the eco schemes. And I think the vision could have gone further there.
Well, thank you very much for that. We'll leave on that note, on that call to action, but thank you for speaking to us today and to the forum. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thanks a lot, Alex.
You've been listening to another edition of the Food Systems Podcast, brought to you by the Forum for the Future of Agriculture. Join us again next time.